Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Johnson, CEO of Equality Illinois. First, I want to say how humbled and inspired I am to get to speak in front of what I think of in my mind as a queer Congress, which, like Congress, has people from all over the country in various states. Unlike Congress, everybody here is pretty good looking. So my first job out of college was as a first grade teacher in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I learned a couple of things there. One is I learned the difference between I have to go to the bathroom and I have to go to the bathroom. I learned that breaking down complex concepts for a 5-year-old is very helpful in prepping to speak to the media. And I learned that whatever conversation you are having around education policy is rarely the conversation you think you're having. Because you could be talking about whether it be charter schools or standardized testing or bathrooms, but often what you're talking about is the place where people send their most loved, most vulnerable people. And because of that, issues around education are high stakes and unusually intense. So in April, we had a national hate group that tried to make a national example out of one of our local school districts. Many of you have heard of Palatine, Illinois, and the Chicago suburbs, where in large part because of an ACLU-led lawsuit and multiple years of pressure, eventually adopted trans-affirming policies for their students. And they did so with a school board majority and school board support. So when we found out that there was a group that was prepared to funnel tons of money into that small local school district to take out those school board members, we knew that they were trying to send a message not just to Palatine or not just to Illinois, but a message across the country that if you are a local elected official and you dare to stand up for our trans kids, you will be taken out. But the challenge we faced is we at Equality Illinois were going through a bit of a reboot. Our team was all new. We lacked any real political infrastructure, and we didn't really know how to respond nimbly and ably to this threat. And that is where we were incredibly lucky in that the Trans United Fund and Hayden Mora came and stepped in. The Trans United Fund, as many of you know, is a trans-led political action committee. And Hayden called and said, look, we have a lot of the sophistication and infrastructure. We have good data on messaging. We can do effective voter targeting. We have vendor relationships with mail firms and the like. But what we're lacking is the on-the-ground support and the money to be able to pull this off. Now, I had not yet had the privilege of raising political money in Illinois, as I'm still new in this role. And this was a big bet about whether we could play this off. So I told Hayden we would do what we could. We put together a prospectus. In 4 days, we were able to raise $40,000 for the Trans United Fund. We were able to, within a week and a half, get over 100 volunteers on the ground engaged in knocking on doors. And I'm happy to say that at the end of that election, every single trans-affirming school board member was reelected, and every hate challenger was defeated. So when I think about what I learned from this, I have to say, so tomorrow I turn 40. I know I don't look a day over 22. So I don't learn a lot of new lessons anymore. I actually have the privilege of learning the same lessons that I need to constantly relearn over and over again. So first of all, I learned that we don't have to be the experts in everything. A friend of mine once said, if you don't have the solution, find the person who does. So we were able to find the person, the institution, that had the capacity that we needed and lean into their leadership. 2, just reminded, money follows impact. By being able to tell a concrete story about the impact that we could have together, we were able to get people to give large donations to the Trans United Fund, so they were able to do this work. And 3, it is just another reminder that we don't always have the greatest impact by leading out front. That often, when we can find others, that when we can lift up the leadership of others, particularly the leadership of those whose identity mirrors and is shared with the beneficiaries of the work that we're trying to do, we can have the greatest impact of all. Thank you.